Hello and welcome. My name's Peter. I'm the solo developer behind Growlery Games. In this video, we're going to cover wish lists, in particular the wish list that Risk and Riches, Growlery's first game, has picked up over the last 7 weeks that it's been up on Steam. We're going to cover the marketing plan from a top level view now that we have a bit more information of how Risk and Riches has been performing so far, as well as a couple of changes that Steam's recently made that not only affect Growlery, but it could affect you as well if you're looking to make a game in the future or just a Steam user. So stick around and we're going to cover all that right now. So first, just a bit of context, especially for those that this is your first time visiting the channel. I'm a solo developer. Growlery Games is a company. Started in mid-January of 2024, starting on work for Risk and Riches, the first title under Growlery Games. On July 13th, the Steam page went live for Risk and Riches. We've been gathering wish lists and impressions since, so that's the timeline leading up to right now for the recording. And looking ahead, March 2025 is the projected release date for Risk and Riches, so we still got some time for development and some, quite a bit of time for marketing. And so just to give you a framework of the timeline for this discussion as we continue forward. All right, so just to get to it, top line numbers. 66 wish lists in 7 weeks. It's about 53 days in actuality as of September 3rd. 5 wish list deletions, which means that I'm at 61 wish lists right now for Risk and Riches since releasing the Steam page. Now, I looked around at some forums and things to try and figure out, where is that relative to other small indie games, and it was a little inconsistent in terms of, what people were saying. It did seem like 61 was better than quite a few that were out there, but it's 8.7 wish lists per week and a little more than one wish list per day. But I then went to Chris Sikowski's website, howtomarketagame.com. If you're not familiar with Chris Sikowski, he does a lot of research surrounding sales and marketing, particularly with Steam, but games in general. And he has some courses on there and does speaking engagement, stuff like that. And so his breakdown, though, he had a couple of them that were useful. One was the performance of games in the first 2 weeks from their Steam page going live. And this is based off of the wishlist they received and then later what their sales revenue was. So bronze games received 100 wishlists in their first 2 weeks. Silver was 500 in the first 2 weeks, gold was 1,200, and diamond was 7,000. Now based on that, we're at 100 in the first 2 weeks for just to be on the lower end of those games. 61, I'm very much underperforming in 7 weeks with only 61 wish lists. The other metric that was helpful was the wish list per day. And the wish list per day is taken during a time when there aren't any major events or sales pushes going on. So this is a normal week, more or less. And again, the rankings are kind of based off of what the ultimate revenue was for the games. With these numbers, there's a little bit of an overlap, but it's because some of the games may not have gotten as many wish lists as another game, but then their conversion from wish list to sales was better, so their ultimate revenue was better. But anyways, 0 to 40 is bronze for this category. 15 to 120 a week is silver. 100 to 700 is gold, and 300 to 3,000 is diamond. Now, with 8.7 per week, that very much puts me at the low end of the bronze. And so, based on those numbers, Risk and Riches, as of right now, doesn't seem like it's going to be a big smash hit, which I wasn't, expecting. But I am hoping and I've been pretty open with this in past videos. For me, the measure of success for this first game with Risk and Riches is A, just releasing it, and B, trying to cross $10,000 revenue threshold. In any given year, in recent years, less than, 70% of games make less than $10,000. So to be in that top 30% is, just getting 10,001. And that's what I'm really aiming for. I'm putting effort into Risk and Riches. I have fun, playing it for the most part. I play it almost every day, so you can imagine it gets a little tiresome. But people enjoy the game. I'm putting effort into it. I want it to be fun. But for me, I'm not looking for this to be, a blockbuster hit. I'm pretty comfortable that it's not going to be. But who knows? It's early in this cycle. I have time. I don't have a demo up yet. I've got to go back and update the screenshots and trailer for Risk and Riches. I've been doing a lot of work on updating some of the graphics to make things more consistent. And so, there's plenty of time for things to bump up. But with the initial numbers, right, it doesn't look, super promising. And so one more note about, the wish list, or at least the initial wish lists. When I first released the Steam page, I posted on my personal social media. Growler Games has a website. I did a few press releases, which didn't really get posted. One got posted on a depot site, but it was just for other articles and stuff to potentially use. It wasn't really for people, general users. And I posted something on Reddit, and of course I did my YouTube trailer. Now, I got 5 wish lists the first day, then 7, then 4, then 7 and 5 on those first 5 days or so. And I'd say that probably 15 to 20 of the 61 wish lists I have right now are people that I know firsthand. They're like a friend or family member that plays games and specifically plays games on Steam. And so they've wish listed it. And then there's another 40 plus that are just people who found it. I do think YouTube helps. It's low numbers, obviously. The channel's not very popular, not yet. But I do see a little trickle effect happening when I post videos on YouTube. So I do think it's helpful, as long as you're not spending a lot of time doing videos that is taking away from development, which is why I only do them once or twice a month. But I did just want to note that there was an initial spike, but it was mostly people that that I personally know, and then from there it's just been people who have found the game and are interested in the game, and that YouTube does seem to be helping. Another metric, although not as useful, is impressions and click-through rate. So 23,866 people have had an impression of the game on Steam, so it's popped up in a list that they were looking at. Of those, 2,877 clicked on it, meaning a 12.1% click-through rate according to Steam. Now, the click-through rate itself doesn't mean a whole lot. What is more important is just the amount of impressions and page visits, the raw numbers, and this kind of comes back to some research that Chris Sikowski has done as well. But the click-through rate doesn't mean too much. 12.1, if you were just doing advertising on the internet, 12.1% click-through rate is tremendous. But it's hard to tell on Steam, because the more Steam pushes a game because it believes it's going to do well, the more people, the more impressions it gets, and then that doesn't necessarily mean that the ratio stays the same. So the ratio can get thrown off with the raw numbers, and as far as who's viewing and wishlisting the game are still climbing. So that doesn't mean a ton, but just, to be transparent, that's what those are at. What was surprising to me is where those numbers are coming from when you look at it based on country. So US is like 40 to 50%, and then Hong Kong, Russia, and Japan are the next three. And I wasn't expecting that. The game's in English. I'm based in the US, so not a big surprise that the US, one of the larger marketplaces, is the top of the list. But then I haven't translated my page outside of English, so it's just in English. The game itself is only in English. So for Hong Kong, Russia, and Japan to be the next top three is pretty surprising to me. Now, I don't know. Steam does keep track of percentage of visits that it believes are bots. I don't know if there are a large percentage of those bots coming from Russia and Hong Kong, but if I were to consider translating, localizing Risk and Riches, right now it looks like simplified Chinese, Russian, and Japanese are the way to go. I don't think, though, I am going to localize Risk and Riches. I debated on it before, but based off of the performance with the wish list and things so far, I don't think it's going to make sense financially to do it. I think it's cost prohibitive. I'm just not going to make the money back right now. Who knows in the future, that could change, but right now it doesn't seem like it would be worth it, especially with it being a deck building game with cards that have a lot of text. Not only does more text mean it's going to cost more to translate, but even though Godot has some tools that make it pretty easy to localize things, and I've been setting the game up in a way using the basics of those tools so that translation is easy later on, or easier later on. There's probably still going to be a lot of headaches in terms of design and development for like spacing and things, because even though it's going to translate it, right, I need to go through, make sure that the text fields aren't too small or too large now for what they were when they're in English, and I just don't think it's going to be worth it, but that could change. Another interesting thing that I came across while looking through the numbers is where the traffic's coming from in terms of where if it's through Steam or through an external website. About 43 to 46%. It was a little hard to tell because Steam has direct links and external websites broken into two different categories, but I think it's basically the same thing, so I'm not sure what the difference was. So somewhere between 40 and let's say 50% of the traffic is driven from outside of Steam. So that's links on the YouTube page, through Growlery's website, through social media posts, things like that. The discovery queue was actually 8% of visits to the page, which I was pretty happy with. I didn't think it would be that high. It was, if I can pull it up real quick here, and I'm sure I'll show the graphic while I'm talking about it, but it was like 8%, it's like 315 people, so 8% that have come through the discovery queue. And it's not, big, huge numbers, but in the early stage that the game is, I wasn't expecting Steam to even throw it in a discovery queue yet. So the fact that people are already finding it in their discovery queue and clicking on it, I'm pretty pumped about. And for it to be 315 people, and 8% of my total visits, I'm happy with that. The other thing that was a little surprising was it was like 3,000 people. 3,000 people that found it on the coming soon list. So they just went to see, they viewed the full list of what games are coming out, and they went low enough to find mine, because mine's marked for next year. And so it's pretty low down there, and the wish lists it currently has are low, so it bumps it a little further, I believe. But 3,000 people found it through that. 4% of them clicked on the site, on the page, and so it's 3% of the total visits to the page. And again, not like big numbers, huge numbers. This is certainly not driving future sales right now, but for it being as low as it is on the list, and for people to like go dig that deep and find it appealing enough to click on it, I do find that encouraging too, even though the wish list numbers themselves are low. There's a lot of time left for the game, for marketing and stuff. I don't have a demo yet. I plan on having that, hopefully in a month or two, and then with that, right, not only will it hopefully generate more visits to the page as people are playing it, but also I can start reaching out to YouTubers and streamers and seeing if some of them will pick up the game, which will hopefully drive some more traffic to the site. It's also an opportunity to do another press release, see if that goes anywhere, and so there are still opportunities down the line. So while we're on that, right, overview of the timeline for marketing of what I'm thinking is, I've been doing a lot of work on the graphics for the game, making it more consistent. I was using and am using a sprite AI generator, mostly for help with like concepting and things, and so some of the game art was still kind of what the raw concept was that came out of that. I do a little bit of work to direct the AI, but I went back and I cleaned a lot of things up, and basically I ended up just redrawing a lot of the things and changing them myself by hand. So AI is part of the pipeline for concept, but what's finally being given out has actually been drawn by me, either just traced over and then cleaned up, or kind of almost redone fully by me. But I need to redo the trailer. I need to redo the screenshots. Hopefully that will help a little bit, but I wouldn't count on that being a big change. The demo is probably the next big milestone, and like I said, in like a month or two, I'm trying to plan it around the fall Next Fest. I don't want it to happen during or immediately before the fall Next Fest, because it's going to be harder to get YouTubers and streamers to pick up my game when they're already busy trying to cover all of the Next Fest games that are going on. So if I can't get it shortly, in the next week or two, which right now doesn't seem viable, then it's probably going to come out sometime, shortly after the fall Next Fest, which is in October, I believe. And with the demo, I'm also going to start promoting and putting it on itch.io, which is going to be low numbers based off of what I know comparatively to Steam. The user bases are pretty different, but I'll put an early demo up on itch.io, just another platform and avenue to get eyes on, and eventually the game will probably be sold on itch.io as well. The content creators are a big part of my marketing plan. I need the demo though to like start going down that avenue. When the demo is released, it's an opportunity to do another press release. Hopefully it gets picked up. We'll see. It's also an opportunity to post on social media a bit. And the next time that I'll be able to do some big pushes are if I update the demo, right? It's another round to go back to content creators that didn't cover it before or did cover it and enjoyed it the first time. It's also an opportunity to post on social media again And when the game release gets closer, I can go back for one last press release. And at the end of it all, I do plan on taking part in Next Fest. Because of the timing of the game, I don't know that there's any other digital festivals that are going to happen over the winter that I could use. There are some that happen during the summer and fall that if the game was in a better a later point in development, I could have potentially taken part in, but I just wasn't ready for that. And I'm trying to plan development around some of those in the future. Things like Tiny Teams, and there's one or two others that I saw advertised as well. Tiny Teams is the only one I can remember off the top of my head. But Next Fest is probably the biggest one that I'll be taking part in for Risk and Riches. After release, there are opportunities as well, but just leading up to release, that's kind of the game plan right now. And so that's the end of the wish list portion. I do want to cover one more thing real quick, but I wanted to take a quick break to just say, if you haven't already wish listed Risk and Riches and you're interested in roguelike tech builders, please go check it out right now. The link should be in the description. A few changes that Steam has made that not only affect developers, but that will affect users as well, in case you're not aware of them. One is in the descriptions. They no longer allow external links. I don't believe they ever actually allowed them, but now they're really enforcing it, so no links to like a game or a developer's Discord channel anymore, or stuff like that. They did roll back a piece of it, which is great because it's the one thing, the useful thing that people were like, hey, we're going to miss out on this. And that's to promote your other games as a developer or as a publisher, to be able to show the list of games underneath at the bottom of the Steam page. They added a widget that lets you do that again. I don't know for certain how it affects cross-promoting between developers, because some indie developers would cross-promote each other's games to help each other out. I think that's still allowed with this new widget, but I can't say that with 100% certainty. The other thing is capsules. They're going to change the capsule sizes. They're going to be higher resolutions now, which overall should make things cleaner as people's screen resolutions continue to increase over time. But it is something to very much be aware of. If you're in the middle of making a Steam page right now, make sure that your resolution is going to match the new requirements. I don't know what the cutoff date was. They were giving like a month grace period in case anybody was in the middle of making their Steam page, but we're probably getting close to that. So yeah, double check that if you're in the middle of that process. If you've already released your Steam page, you don't need to update to the new required ones, but if you change your capsules, I think you will. So also be aware of that. Game reviews. They're changing the way that they choose which reviews to show at the top of the list when you scroll down the Steam page to the review section, to try and remove unhelpful things that are like a word or two or just ASCII art. You can, as a user, turn it back on if you want to see that instead, but they're trying to make reviews a bit more useful, and which for developers should be a good thing. For users, I guess it depends on what you want to look at. But the biggest thing probably is demos. There is now the opportunity to create a separate demo page, like Steam page, for your game, so it's not tied to your actual game Steam page. The benefit in that is that your demo, if it is doing well, can now pop up in the new and trending and upcoming lists like a normal game, which can be good because it increases exposure, and if you manage to get up there, right, which could be those are getting in those lists is a big boost to wish lists and future sales. The double-edged sword of it, though, at least we'll see how it all plays out, but I'm worried that larger games, like AAA games and stuff that have a lot of hype behind them from the get-go, if they release demos, are going to start to bump out some smaller games from those lists. We'll see how it actually plays out, but yeah, it could be a pros and cons thing. I don't know that it's necessarily a net benefit, at least for smaller developers, but we'll see how that goes. That's what I got for right now. If you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe to join me on this journey. I'm Peter, the solo developer behind Growlery Games, and I'll see you in the next one.